There are voices in the history of the world that do not shout. They wait. They speak so quietly that you have to grow still to hear them at all, and that stillness, it turns out, is the whole point. Laozi is one of these voices. For more than 2,000 years, his words have drifted across China and then across the rest of the world, not by force, not by conquest, but the way water finds its way through stone, patiently, without hurry, without insisting. To meet Laozi is to be invited into a quieter room inside yourself, a room you may have forgotten was there. We say Laozi as though we were naming a man, and perhaps we are. The name itself is humble, almost playful. It means something like the old master, or even the old child, an elder so wise he has circled back to the freshness of a newborn. Tradition tells us he lived in ancient China, roughly 25 centuries ago, in the time we call the 6th century before the Common Era. He is said to have served as a keeper of archives in the royal court of Zhou, a man who spent his days among records and old documents, watching the affairs of rulers come and go. But the truth is that we know very little about him as a historical person, and that uncertainty is strangely fitting. A man who taught the beauty of the nameless and the hidden has left us, above all, a name we can barely trace. What he left that endures is a small book. In English, we call it the Tao Te Ching, which we might render as the classic of the way and its power. It is short, only about 5,000 characters, the length of a long letter, and yet people have read it their whole lives and never reached the bottom of it. It is written in lines that feel like riddles and lullabies at once, lines that seem simple until you sit with them. The very first words warn us of what is coming. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. Right away, gently, the book admits that its own words will fall short, that the deepest truth slips through language the way a fish slips through open fingers. So what is this Tao, this way that cannot be spoken? It is not a God to be worshipped, not a law to be obeyed, not a doctrine to be defended. The Tao is closer to the quiet order beneath all things, the way reality actually moves when we stop interfering. It is the turning of the seasons, the way night softens into morning, the way a seed becomes a tree without ever trying. We are part of it always, and most of our suffering comes from forgetting this and pushing against the current. Laozi does not ask us to believe anything. He asks us to notice and then to relax. This is why his teaching speaks so directly to the silence of the mind. Most of us live with a restless inner voice, planning, comparing, worrying, narrating. We rarely meet a moment as it is because we are too busy arguing with it. Laozi points to another possibility. He praises the empty cup, useful precisely because it is empty. He praises the still water, clear only because it has stopped being stirred. He suggests that wisdom is not the piling up of more thoughts, but the letting go of the ones we cling to. Knowledge, he says, accumulates a little each day. The way removes a little each day. We grow not by adding, but by setting down. His most famous teaching has a name that sounds like a paradox, Wu Wei, which means non-doing or effortless action. It does not mean laziness, and it does not mean giving up. It means acting in harmony with the moment instead of forcing, like a sailor who reads the wind rather than fighting it. The skilled cook, the patient farmer, the wise leader who governs lightly, all of them do less and accomplish more. They have learned the open secret that the softest thing in the world, water, can wear away the hardest. Yielding, in Laozi, is not weakness. It is a deeper kind of strength, the strength of the supple branch that bends in the storm and is still standing when the rigid one has snapped. We come to a man we can barely see, holding a book that admits it cannot say what it means, teaching a way that asks us mostly to stop. And yet across the centuries, something living passes through. The thread that holds this whole teaching together is simplicity, the courage to want less, to do less, to be content with the plain and the unfinished, and in that contentment to discover a fullness that striving never gave us. Laozi is not asking us to leave our lives. He is asking us to return to them with quieter eyes, to drink our tea and walk our roads and breathe our breath as though they were already enough, because, he insists, they always were. In the next chapter, we will go back to the beginning, to the misty origins of this old master and the world that shaped him. We will look at the few stories that have come down to us, the legend of his birth, the China of his time, and the strange and beautiful question of whether Laozi was one man, many, or a name the centuries grew around like ivy on an old wall.